the Joe Rogan Experience. So we've got a few interesting guests.
Fine, thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. I'm really
you.
excited to talk to you. Obviously, there's been an amazing amount of interest and controversy because of your work. We should explain to everybody right off the bat what this is about. You are the man that was at the head of this research that is looking at structures that are underneath the bottom of the pyramid.
Is he at the head? Because for some reasons I thought it was Corrado Malanga that was the head.
And incredibly controversial, very fascinating.
Yep.
And if it's accurate, it essentially rewrites all of human history.
Yes. Thank you for this invitation. And yes, the group is composed by Corrado Malanga, which is the head of the group, and the Dean Professor of Chemistry at the University of Pisa.
He's not anymore.
Could you explain your background, please, so people will understand?
Yeah. Yes, my background is this. I am a telecommunication engineering. I graduate at the university.
What is that word again? Say it again.
Telecommunication engineering.
Engineer. I mean, he has a definitely thicker accent than me. With that being said, I do respect someone who goes onto a show as big as this when they're not as confident in their language abilities. That's respectable.
Communications engineer. Okay. It's like your English is excellent, but the Italian accent, although fabulous, sometimes it's difficult to translate.
Thank you very much, Joe. I'm sorry, yes, that I'm not mother tongue of English.
It's still much better than my Italian.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. I can teach you some Italian, Joe. Even some Sicilian if you want.
Yes, I graduated myself in university at the University of Lecce, south of Italy. Very nice university, and it has the name of a famous mathematic Italian, which is Ennio De Giorgi. Was living in the era then John Nash was living also, and they were one against to the other, and they was both studying the 19 Hilbert problem, and Ennio De Giorgi solved this problem 1 week before John Nash.
Ah, interesting. John Nash, who from the famous movie A Brilliant Mind.
That was an amazing movie, by the way. I really, really like it.
And so then I performed my PhD at La Sapienza in Rome.
Excellent university.
And now I'm here.
And how did you get involved in this discovery?
Yes. I worked on radar and synthetic aperture radar for a lot of time. Radar
for the Italian military, right?
Yes,
some work.
Yes. Some
which
work
you can't really talk about.
No.
Right.
And I was involved in some research where, together with the Italian Research Council of Bari, always south of Italy, we was testing some special processing.
I think you understand him. That's why I'm not like providing extra commentary to say, I think he means this, because I think you can still understand him. I know exactly what he's thinking. That's why I'm smiling a little bit. Because when he said in Bari, always south of Italy, it's because that's how we would say it in Italian. A Bari, sempre al sud Italia. But what we mean by that is what you would say in English, and you would say still in the south of Italy. So it's just that we say always instead of still. And so he's literally translating that into English.
That were able to perform something special.
Okay.
And so this is.
So this top secret research that you work on for the Italian government led you to try this stuff out, try this technology out. And this is satellite-based technology, correct?
Yes.
And it's radio tomography?
Yes, it is something, in my personal opinion, very simple. The radar is installed on board on the satellite. The satellite flies in the space at a distance of 600 kilometers at 7 kilometers per second in velocity. Okay. So while it flies along the orbit, it is able to catch snapshots of the Earth.
Isn't that fascinating? When he goes into technical descriptions, his English gets better. I'm sorry, I'm a linguist. I'm a language teacher first and foremost. So it's everyday conversation. You can tell he hasn't had much experience, which is why he uses kind of weird grammar and words. But when he goes into the technical aspect, which in theory are harder, for him they're easier. Fascinating. Massive announcement. Check this out. You're gonna love it. As many of you know, or at least I think you know, I've been writing a book, my new journey into becoming an author. I've mentioned this on a few videos and on X, but this book was indeed crowdfunded. Now, any person who has donated or will donate to the crowdfunding will receive a full audiobook, and this is crowdfunding exclusive. So, as a way to say thank you to the people that have donated and supported my dream of becoming an author, if you have a minimum of $5 donation, you will receive the entirety of the audio file of the book, recorded by me with my voice, no AI involved, as a crowdfunding exclusive reward. This applies retroactively, so for all 262 donors that I've had so far, you'll get this, and anyone who decides to donate $5 or more, thank you very much, never expected, always appreciated, then you will be guaranteed a audio file of the book by the end of the crowdfunding campaign. Important, once the crowdfunding campaign is over, this audiobook version will not be made for sale. So this is, once again, crowdfunding exclusive. It's a perk. If you're interested in the audiobook, click the link in the description, and thank you so much.
The snapshots has to be focused. And this focusing procedure, let's say it in the azimuth, I take it easy, in the azimuth direction, is done by sound, by the processing of sound, because it is involved at the so-called Doppler frequency. You know, Joe, when you hear noises that are approaching to you, this noise will raise the frequency, because the target has a velocity, a positive velocity with respect to you. And so the frequency is raised up. And this procedure allows us to estimate or to grab, let's say, the vibration information that is always present at the surface of the Earth in terms of evanescent waves that are present on the surface of the Earth. So this vibration, which is mechanical vibration, carries inside of this the information that is located underground. And so we did this.
And was it a specific idea? Was it the idea specifically to look under the pyramids, or was this something that was discovered accidentally?
Okay, yes. Once we discovered this method, it was a coincidence that I knew Corrado Malanga. At that time, I
want to say this early on into this reaction. Out of the three, Corrado Malanga, Armando May, and Filippo Biondi, Filippo is the only one that I'm willing to take seriously, because he is a professional of his field. Also, he's a very humble person. Armando May is a clown. Corrado Malanga is a clown. This is the only guy I'm willing to listen to.
We are in 2018. He was studying the pyramids. And so we were talking about something that if there was some methods able to scan inside the pyramids, because he needed some information to conclude the research that he was doing. Mm-hmm. And so I proposed him to use my technique. And we started to work together. And so we focused in that time on the pyramids.
Cool. And when was this? When was the first scans?
Yes, in 2019.
In 2019.
Yeah.
And when you got the data back, did you immediately get the data that you're showing today, where you see the columns with the coils around it?
Okay. Let's say that
empty and made of glass is the statement, by the way.
This research can be divided by two. The first one, 1.0, we were concentrating research on the Khnum Khufu pyramid, the Cheops pyramid, to watch inside the pyramid. And so we have tailored our processing to watch only inside the pyramids, because that pyramid, only one pyramid, because we were doing that kind of research. Then once we discovered things in 2020 we published a peer review paper, and we gave public the results that we found inside the Khnum Khufu pyramid. We decided to expand our research in all the Giza plateau.
Why are you not subscribed? What do you need me to do? Dress up like Vega to get you to subscribe? Subscribe.
Can I stop you there? When you looked into, so we know quite a bit about the Khufu pyramid and what the chambers are inside of it. Did this technology accurately describe the pyramid itself and the insides of it, the chambers?
It seems like that it did, which is why I'm like, that's interesting. But again, the pyramids are above ground, 648 meters under the ground. It's kind of a different discussion, but I'm not a professional, which is why I'm open to the possibility if he explains it in a way that gets convincing. That's why I always say, dig, 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 dig.
We know exist?
Absolutely, yes. Because we have detected this multi-layer structure that is inside the Khnum Khufu pyramid, the so-called Z. We have discovered it very well from the space, and it is located inside the pyramid.
Okay.
And also we discovered the new, we gave an image also of the other known structures like the Grand Gallery.
The Grand Gallery.
The Grand Gallery. And then also the Queen's Chamber and the King's Chamber also. So
cool.
And accurate in terms of size and dimension.
And also position and location.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
so
impressive.
When did you decide to focus below the pyramid?
Yes. We decided to focus below the pyramid because our intention was to expand our research. And then also thanks to the third component of the research group, which is Armando May.
Clown.
He suggests us to expand our research and scan all the Giza plateau. Yeah.
And so what date was it that you discovered these immense columns with the coils around it and all those structures that are underneath the pyramid?
Yes. In the second part of our research, we started focusing our scans on the Khafre pyramid and like Khnum Khufu. And then we adjust our algorithms to go deeper. And so when we did this, very nice things began to appear on our results.
What did you feel when you first saw those images that do appear to be immense columns? I believe they're the diameter is 20 meters.
20 meters.
So they're huge, enormous columns.
Yes.
What went through your mind?
Skepticism.
As it should.
I told also Corrado was with me those results for in our desk without disclosure or anything for 6 months, because my opinion was that was not real. I was thinking that maybe it was noise or some artifacts due by our processing.
You see, that's the thing. So he behaves and thinks as a scientist, which I appreciate, because just because the data appears to be like, oh my God, this is fantastic. Well, yeah, right, but you have to replicate it. You have to try and sort of attack it. It's what you do. You want your data, you want your discoveries, your thesis, your hypotheses to be attacked, because that's how you confirm. There is no reason to be offended because someone is attacking your theory. It's not how academia should work. You should ask people, attack it, destroy it, prove me wrong, because only then can you say, well, you all failed, meaning that the theory is real. This is not a theory. So it goes from hypothesis to theory, all the way, it can go all the way up to law, right? So I appreciate that. The problem is that the other two are anything but in their exposition. And I went through 4 hours and something like 4 hours and 15 minutes of their Congress in Italian. I watched the whole thing. It was excruciating. His part was difficult to follow because I don't have the technical understanding. So when he speaks about the algorithm, the maths, the aperture radar, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand anything of what he's saying. So the only thing that was a little confusing was when he was talking about the way they were like the lab underneath this mountain in Italy when they were testing it. That was the only thing that was a little, I'm not sure about that, but the rest I had trouble following because I don't speak maths. However, the other two, one, Armando May was saying, Corrado Malanga didn't mention the aliens, but he did say stuff such as, well, then we showed our screenshots to AI, meaning the language models, and then the AI said, yeah, these are columns, and the AI is never wrong. Well, already when you make a statement like that, you're out of your mind, like you're out of your field. And that's one. This man is doing the due diligence. Armando May instead was just making statements without even telling you why.
Did it give you pause at all that they were so uniform, that these columns were in very specific places and that they lined up, there was a uniform gap in between them?
Yes. And why we disclosure this? Because we started to use also other satellites.
Yes, of
and
course.
Once we, at the beginning, we were using only the Italian satellite system that it is Cosmos Skymed, and Cosmos Skymed second generation.
Okay.
It's very good, very precise. But we wanted to shift our research using also other satellites because, Joe, in research, when we have diversity is a good thing because it confirms other things that we were searching. We were searching confirmation.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
once we had the same results while we was using American satellites called Capella Space and also other satellites, having always the same results, we decided to disclosure.
How many different scans have been done on this area?
200 or 300, more than 200.
More
Man.
than 200,
Yeah.
and all with uniform results?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's a lot of resistance to this, and it's from the usual characters, and it's from people that I would characterize as gatekeepers of archaeological information. And unfortunately, they are not willing to approach this with an open mind. And you see this skepticism that just seems to me to be confirmation bias. They want this to not be true, regardless of the sheer number.
Let me tell you this. I want this to be true. Everything. Because it would be fascinating. I'm open-minded in the sense that I really like the possibility. It's intriguing. Are you joking? That is intriguing as a possibility, even if, removing all the aliens, this is actually an ancient civilization that we can prove and rewrite the dates. That would be phenomenal. Dig. That's why I always say freaking dig. To me, it could also be something simpler, like maybe those appear to be columns if they have a spiral around them. What if, and that would be my idea, what if they are like digging holes for mining operations? Still, 648 meters would be insane to be able to do that in terms of you couldn't even breathe down there. But then again, the ancient Egyptians were famous for dealing with like underwater pressure realignment and adjustment. They had machines that could do that. When I say machines, I mean like wood, bronze, and that kind of stuff. But you know what I mean. They had ways to do it that were copied by the Greeks and the Romans. The Romans copied by the Greeks, and Greeks learned it from the Egyptians. In fact, we have the Egyptian screw, which is one of the elements that allowed to these redirections of water flow so that you can dig deeper into these vertical and then horizontal digging sites. And then again, the Romans did it. The Romans dug underneath Paris, and a lot of the building and structures that the Romans built in loco were dug from underneath. It's something the Romans did. If there was a good availability of raw materials in terms of stone and it was high quality, they just dig underneath and build.
Of scans and the uniformity of the results of these scans. And also the fact that this stuff has been proven to work on other things. Like, didn't you guys use this exact technology to get the exact dimensions of a particle collider that you have?
Yes,
Yeah,
we have
okay.
a particle collider where I have born in L'Aquila, which is located in the center of Italy, at the center of Italy.
Yeah.
There is a huge mountain called Gran Sasso, the
Yes.
Gran Sasso d'Italia, which
Yeah.
is a has a maximum altitude of about 3,000 meters, for being precise, 2,993 meters.
I love precision. That's why I told you I like him, because he's very precise. Gran Sasso, by the way, means big rock. That's literally what it means. Big rock. Gran Sasso.
There is a tunnel, very long tunnel, about 11, 12 kilometers.
Yeah.
And in the core of this mountain, there is a particle collider.
True.
There is a laboratory, let's say like that.
And this technology got the exact dimensions of this particle collider that's
Absolutely,
deep
yes.
in this
Yeah.
mountain.
Yes.
Okay.
At 1.4 kilometers with respect to the top.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do have to underline, though, because this was not specified in the original conference, and I had to go and do my research, and I did. The laboratory with the particle collider inside the mountain, it's true that it's inside the mountain. So they did, with the satellite, they were able to see inside the mountain. The fact that he says that it's 3,000 from the peak, okay, but first and foremost, if I were to ask him directly, I would ask him, right, but when the satellite takes the image, is it going through like in a perpendicular way so that it actually has to go through the entirety of the mass of the mountain all the way down to the lab? Or, for example, is it taking the picture from a little bit of an oblique? Because then it's different, right? If it's taking it from the sides, it's not the same amount of rock that there would be if we were to take care of the distance between the lab and the peak of the mountain. The other thing is that the lab is exactly at the soil level. So it's at the same height as the highway. So when you drive through the highway, at one point you turn right, you drive for about 20 minutes, and then you enter the lab. The lab is not under the surface of the earth. The lab is at the exact same height as the highway. So I am saying this because while it is impressive that they could map it perfectly, the technology is impressive. But does that speak for mapping 648 meters under the ground? Because the lab is not under the surface. The lab is inside a mountain. So the type of resistance might be different. That's my question that I would ask him.
Okay. So we know it's accurate. We know it works.
Yes.
What do you think it is? I mean, other than what I said, that it's gatekeepers of archaeological information. It's people that don't want to admit that there's perhaps quite a bit bigger mystery than just the pyramids themselves.
Yeah, I believe that.
What do you think it is that is causing this resistance?
Personally, it's true. We found a lot of resistance. Yes, it's true. But personally, I don't know why. I can say something regarding to my personal opinion. Joe, it is something that maybe is too big, too huge to be disclosed like that today. I don't know why.
It's confusing to people because it's essentially...
That's another good sign, by the way. Notice that the people that have a message to push, or maybe are particularly conspiratorial, they tend not to say, I don't know. There's always a reason. He is saying, I don't know. I appreciate that. I actually do.
Paradigm shattering, because the pyramids themselves are absolutely spectacular. The Great Pyramid is 2,300,000 stones. Yeah. The alignment is the perfect, true north, south, east, and west. It's a really incredible accomplishment. Yeah. Whoever built it and when they built it. It's just undeniably fascinating that this was done at the very least 2,500 BC, probably even older than that. We really don't know. But that alone is spectacular. But then when you add the findings that you have, it just makes everybody go, we don't know anything. We really don't. We know that these things exist, but their purpose has always been speculative. The speculation was that it is some sort of a tomb. But that doesn't make any sense because there's no hieroglyphs inside of it. It doesn't seem like a tomb. It doesn't look like a tomb. And I'm sure you're aware of Christopher Dunn's work.
Yes.
Which...
I wonder if they're going to bring up Robert Bovell. You say that name and Hawass is going to implode.
You know, he's an engineer, and he said it appears that this thing is some sort of a mechanical thing, and that it's probably designed to generate some kind of power.
I don't believe in that. The whole power thing, I'm interested to see what he says, because I know Armando May believes it. He said it. What is he going to say? Let's see.
Yeah. Yes, in this context, I have spoke a lot with Christopher Dunn, and I like a lot his theory, and it makes sense, and so this discoveries matches a lot with his and also to other scientists that make recast the effective purpose of the pyramid not to be tombs. So today we are sure of one thing, that the pyramids are not tombs.
I'm okay accepting that. But just because they're not tombs, it doesn't mean that they're power plants. Like, there is a huge gap. And I know that maybe some people will say at this point, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I've never been a huge fan of that, because on one hand, I agree. But on the other hand, any claim requires evidence. So even extraordinary claims just still require evidence. At the end of the day, as long as you have evidence, what would make that evidence extraordinary becomes kind of a matter of opinion. So it's not wrong to say, but it is extraordinary if you can actually prove that these things were built by either an enormously advanced, incredible civilization, a human, but that we had no idea, or by an alien civilization. That would be extraordinary. I agree. But the fact that it's extraordinary doesn't give it more validity as evidence. Evidence is evidence. That's all you need. Anyways, I won't go too pedantic on the words you use, fine. But you do need like some proper evidence to tell me, to go from, we don't believe it's a tomb anymore. Okay, so what are our options? Maybe it was used for this, maybe it was used for that, maybe it was used as a way to show to the people, you are nothing, I'm capable of this, look at my power, so you also do because I'm a god. That could be a social-cultural / religious reason as to why they built that.
And what is truly spectacular is that if this data is accurate, those immense structures that have baffled mankind forever are just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
That's just the top.
That is
and
fascinating.
underneath it, you have these immense structures that we have not yet fully explored, but you have data that shows that. Let's look at the images. Let's pull up some of the images so people can see what we're talking about. Because once you see it, your mind just goes, okay, what are we even talking about? Like, what was this civilization? When did it exist? And what kind of technology would allow them to not just construct the pyramids, which is absolutely baffling, but if this structure that is underneath the pyramids is accurately described by your work, we're looking at something that is going to have to change our entire perspective on the history of humanity.
If it is meant to be that they actually physically could reach 648 meters under the rock and then further down because there are the massive cube chambers underneath it. Yeah, how did they do that? Because you can't do that with copper tools.
Yes, I agree with you, Joe, because what we found, it is something that has been confirmed by our measurements. And at the moment, I suppose that our measurements are the only data that we have.
Yeah.
Because there aren't other data. So what we are observing, we are observing principally vertical structure. This vertical structures has a pattern, a regular pattern, and this regular pattern is constituted by a so-called spiral nature. I found this. And,
so what are we looking at here? These are...
This is the right one.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, that is the Khafre pyramid. And you see, Joe, at the top of the tomography is on the X.
For those who don't know, this little red thing you see here is the pyramid. This is the peak of the pyramid. These are the sides of the pyramid. So this is ground level. And so if he's correct, these are structures. And they are, the pyramid would just be the tip of the iceberg, absolutely.
So the horizontal dimension, we have the space, okay? Space, just the range. And on the vertical, we have the depth. Okay. On the top, we have the pyramid. You see the pyramid on the top, And while you go down, you are observing the structures that are going down. And look, you have the spiral nature of the structures.
Crazy.
Okay, this is not the clearest image that I've seen. So let me see some other images.
Let's see.
Because this is just one, right?
Yeah. Pizza,
So
pasta,
Go. Okay.
Burger.
Again.
burrito.
We have a lot of images here that is recasting all the research that we have done together.
It does look beautiful. I love the colors.
So the images that are going around online that people have seen are these 3D replicate. Pull up some more of those.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Some of the images online are recreations of what it is observed and what you believe this could look like underneath, correct?
We have performed measurements, and they are sound measurements that has been picked up from the surface of the Earth by satellites. So they are very precise and they are coherent. Coherent, it means that contains a lot of information. So it is characterized to have high entropy. And so when we perform the so-called tomographic inversion, we can see what there is underneath.
Very
Okay,
technical.
So this is a recreation of what you believe it looks like.
Yes.
And how are you
Oh,
getting
interesting.
that from the
Interesting
image
that
that's
he's
below
actually
that?
saying that.
Okay.
So the image is just one aspect of the data, correct?
Yes.
Right.
The image?
This
Yes,
multicolored
it is.
image.
Okay, here we are observing inside the Khafre pyramid, and inside the Khafre pyramid, we are observing those structures there. Those are inside the Khafre pyramid.
And the image above,
Yes.
that is an artist's recreation of what you think it looks like.
Yes.
Now, how did you make that determination that that's what it looks like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question.
The model has been retrieved, not
Retrieved.
observing just only one result, but observing a lot
Multiple.
of
Okay.
results.
Makes sense.
So, putting on a table all the results that we have, we were able to retrieve, so to facilitate people to read our measurements. Okay, so observing the results, we were able to determine the spirals and the structures that are located starting from the base of the Khafre pyramid going down.
I've seen other images of the scans that are more
Yes.
convincing than the one that's below. So let's see if we can find some of those. What else do you have here?
Because then they have the squares.
Yes, these are all images
cubes.
that are related to the first.
So this is just an article that's in the news.
Okay.
Cohesive, maybe. I don't know if that's what he meant.
What is, like, where's a good place to get the best versions of these images? Like that right there. Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, what is this?
Okay. Here we are watching a wide area of our tomographies. Look, and we see the structures that are going down.
Yes. This is much clearer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And,
And below the structure, at the end of the structures, there are huge chambers, but they are really huge, approximately having a width and the length and the height of 80 meters.
so 80 meters.
80 meters. Let's imagine it for a second, because I love the idea of... I'm not convinced, but I love thinking about it. Could you imagine if you actually do go down? Like the spirals here are kind of like you walkways, and then go all the way down, and then you enter these... What the heck is inside? What would you put in it?
Your structures that are below all of this.
Yes.
So almost the size of a football field below all this, that is some sort of a chamber.
Yeah.
Multiple.
And see if you can find some other images, Jamie.
Go, Jimmy.
So the coils, how did you determine that there was coils? Is it just because of the gaps that you see in the imagery, whether they come in this
Yes,
uniform
there
pattern
are,
that it's...
I have 2 or 3 slides on my presentation where we find the coils.
When it comes to the coils, if I remember correctly, he said they are glass, a glass-like material, because you can see through. I remember him saying that.
If you go down, please.
Down, please.
Yeah, wait a minute. Okay. Here we can observe a regular pattern, so not coils. We go down, please. Okay, regular pattern, and the coils are beginning to be seen there on the third image. Here, regular pattern. Go down, please. And here, this is, in my personal opinion, the fourth image from the left to the right, the fifth image, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth image, I'm sorry, where you have a core at the center of
It does look
the
like
coil, at the...
I wish he explained what the different colors mean, and also what the different hues of these colors indicate. Might even have him at one point on the show, so that if at any point we would do it in Italian, but if at any point he needs to express something, you could do it in Italian and I could translate, or if there is a question that is not 100% understood, if we go a little deep, I could ask it in Italian. That could be an option.
At the center of the structure, and then we have a something that spirals down.
So has anybody speculated about what this could possibly be? Like what these coils are?
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, I spoke with two independent, with some independent researchers, and especially with Christopher Dunn. And also, I spoke also with Jeffrey, that is considering also the GISA power plant like a chemical reactor or something like that. On one side, scientists that say, okay, can be something related to electricity, or we have something related to chemicals or other things. In my personal opinion, I can see anything. I can say anything because I just measured what there is.
That's fine.
There. So
yeah. Who is this scientist that says it's electricity, by the way? I'm confused.
Let's
Also, we are
start
closer
digging,
to the Arabic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Pull up some more images, please,
with the
Jeremy.
pronunciation.
So
yes, this is very important. If you want, I can tell you about
please.
this.
Okay.
Okay, because it is the very important research project that I am working now, and it is something that, if could be possible, we can go there and without digging anything, we can go below.
Okay.
Why? Because belonging between the Sphinx and the Khafre pyramid, there are some shafts.
Okay, yes.
And there are the photos of the shafts where we can go in situ and we can physically go there and see and watch those shafts.
Okay.
Currently, the shafts are blocked by debris, and there is also rubbish inside. So, I performed a lot of scans at those shafts, and you see, Joe, the shafts goes down, and they reach chambers that are below.
And that is the Doppler tomography readings.
Yes.
So these shafts go down. How far do they go down?
Yes, they go down approximately 600 meters.
Holy
600
Yes.
meters. Wow.
Yes.
So 600 meters down,
Yeah.
and
So
then
there
they
is a
reach a chamber.
precedent.
Yes.
There is a
What is the
precedent.
conventional explanation for these shafts? Is there one? Like, what do current archaeologists, what is academia, what do they think these things are? Leave that right there for a second.
Yes. Yes.
look
This
at
is
that.
the complete 3D model that me and Corrado did, and so to observe all the structures that we found, evaluating the tomographies that we have done on the Giza Plateau.
So it's not just under the Great Pyramid, it's under all three pyramids
And also the Sphinx.
and also the Sphinx.
Yes.
Man.
And they all seem to go, do they go down to a uniform depth?
We found at the moment the same depth, yes.
and they all have chambers at the bottom.
Yes,
of them.
absolutely.
Oh, that's
Yes.
insane.
And that's the in my personal opinion,
Man, if this checks out, this is incredible. On that, I think I'm going to call it a night for tonight. We are exactly at the 30 minutes mark. So I'll get this edited and I'll post it one of these days on the channel. We'll see how it goes. If you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to check out my Patreon page. With as little as a $5 support, you can help us ensure that we can continue to produce high quality and high researched content. And at the same time, you get access to polls, extra videos, unlisted streams, and much more. Thank you so much.